I'd like to talk about lights. Photo lights versus video lights. I have lots of photo lights. I know how they work. I know their output. I understand them. I've been using them my whole career. Now that I'm getting into video, I want to get some video lights that I could use for video, but also for photography. What I'd like to find out is the power output of the video lights as compared to my photo lights. I'm not trying to necessarily replace these exactly, but I don't understand the various lights that are out there, how much they output, and how that relates to how I work. So for this video, I would like to just do a comparison between the strobes that I have and the output of the video lights, so I can kind of gauge and understand how powerful something is. Because when you go to the websites, it's not like they give you a number that says this is as powerful as your photo light. So for the most part, when you go to a video website, they give you lux or foot candle readings. Foot candle and lux readings are very helpful because they give you an actual gauge of the power that that light puts out. I don't know if there's a standard in the sense of, is it always 3 feet away or 3 meters away? A lot of websites will give you different ratings, like 3, 6, 10 feet away, to give you an idea of how the light performs close versus far. And you don't get that in the photo world. In the photo world, they don't exactly do that. At least I don't see it on any websites. They'll tell you watt seconds if you dig down in. Like I know when I go to Profoto's website, they don't tell you right off the bat how many watt seconds. You have to go into the specs and then it tells you. Like this light here is 1,000 watt seconds. How would this compare to, say, an Aputure 600 watt light? If I dial this 1,000 watt strobe down to 600 watts, will it be the equivalent of a 600 watt LED light? That's what I want to find out. So I have some lights here behind me. I have a Kino Flo, a SkyPanel. This is a D2, an A1 Profoto on-camera flash. This is here an Aputure 600C Pro. And then this light here is my normal powerhouse, is a K5600 1600 watt HMI. So let's use an old-fashioned meter and actually just get some numbers that make sense in the photo world. This is the setup that I'm going to use to take a reading of the output of the lights. I have a light meter over here. The light is over there. I'll measure each so that they are 7 feet apart from each other. It's not a super scientific setup. There will be bounce from the floor, the ceiling, the wall over there. But I've eliminated some of it with this black foam core and the black curtain. The first light that we'll start with is the Kino Flo Freestyle 4. It's the first LED light that I've purchased. Been very happy with it. It's not the strongest output out of all the lights that I have, but it has a nice light to it. And I can use the bulbs individually, which is very helpful. The Kino Flo got f2 for photo and f5.6 for video. This is the Aputure 600C Pro with a reflector on it. With the reflector on, the Aputure 600 is about 4 stops brighter than the Kino Flo. For photo, it comes in at f8, and for video, it comes in at f22. Now to see how the Aputure 600C Pro performs with a softbox on there, how much light is taken away. It's not too large of a softbox, just enough to diffuse it a little bit. The Aputure 600 loses 3 stops when you add a softbox, making it only 1 stop brighter than the Kino Flo. For photo, you get f2.8, and for video, you get f8. This is the Arri SkyPanel S60C. For photo, it comes in at f4, and for video, it comes in at f11, making it 1 stop brighter than the Aputure light with a softbox. This is the K5600 1600 watt. The K56 Alpha is the brightest out of the lights that I'm featuring here. For photo, it comes in at f8 1/3, and for video, it comes in at f22 1/3. Now the moment that I've been waiting for, I have the Profoto D2 1000 watt strobe. The Profoto D2 is the clear winner here, coming in 3 1/3 stops brighter than the K5600. For photo, it comes in at f22, and for video, it comes in at f64. We now have the Profoto D2 at full power with the same softbox that the Aputure 600C Pro had on it. With the softbox on, the Profoto loses a stop and 2/3 of light. For photo, it comes in at f16, and for video, it comes in at f45. I've now set the Profoto up similar to how the Aputure 600 is. I have a reflector on it, and I turn the power, which at full power is 1000 watts. I turned it down to 600 watts to see how this would compare directly with the Aputure, which is also 600 watts. When the Profoto is turned down to 600 watts, it comes in at f22 for photo and f64 for video, which is about 3 stops brighter than the Aputure 600. This should be interesting. I now have the Profoto A1, which is just a on-camera flash. It's not that big. It's a great flash, but it's so tiny. Let's see what that output is compared to a lot of these LEDs. The A1 comes in at f11 for photo and f32 for video, which is a little over a stop brighter than the Aputure 600C. This information has been very helpful for me. It helps me understand what the output of these continuous lights are, whether they're HDMI or LEDs, and translate that from my photo work to the video work. I didn't really dive into the lux readings. The lux readings are very helpful, especially when I'm looking at the continuous light sources. But unfortunately, the meter gave me a lux second reading for the strobes. And I don't know how to translate straight lux to lux seconds. They're not exactly comparable without doing some kind of conversion. If you know how to do that and you want to explain that, I would love to hear it. I couldn't find a ton of it on the internet, and it'd be very useful to use the lux readings to compare the strobes to the continuous lights. So what am I going to do with this information? I'm going to look at it in different ways. I'll give you a quick scenario. So I have a still set that I'm capturing, and I'm using the Profoto D2 with a reflector on there. And I'm at ISO 100, and I'm at f16. With this information that I now have, what continuous light source will give me a hard light at f16? And now, I know the Kino Flo is not a hard light, so what do I have that's a hard light? I have the Aputure, and I have the K5600. So if I want to do a video and I want to be at f16, I now will be at ISO 800. So I'll look at the readings that I took at ISO 800. And now if I look at the Aputure with a reflector, I can get f22 with a reflector. So the Aputure would work, and the K5600 would give me f22. So I have two options there that would work very well for a hard light. Another situation, I'm using the same Profoto D2, but this time with a softbox, the same softbox that I used to take the meter readings. And it's given me a nice soft light. What lights do I have on the continuous side that would give me a soft light? The Kino Flo, the SkyPanel is somewhat soft. It's not super soft. So I don't know if you would factor that in as a soft light. And then I have the Aputure with a softbox on there. Now, if I'm doing the still photo at ISO 100 and I want to capture at f16, what continuous light source would give me a soft light at f16. So I'll look at the ISO 800, and at f16, the Kino Flo would definitely not work because the Kino Flo only goes up to, would only give me f5.6. The Aputure with a softbox would give me f8. That's 2 stops under the f16, but that looks like the closest option because the SkyPanel is f11, so it's brighter. It would be 1 stop under, but I don't think the SkyPanel is soft enough to match that Shimera softbox that I've been using for the meter readings. So I think the SkyPanel would need to be diffused a little, which would probably take it down a stop about to f8. I will say that I'm pretty impressed at how well this Profoto A1 did. Pure power, it outperformed all the continuous lights. This at ISO 100 gave me an f11 reading from 7 feet, and the next closest one would have been the K5600 Alpha, which gave me f8 and a third. I mean, this can't be used for video, so it doesn't matter, but just from a pure power standpoint. If you look back at the different readings that I took of the lights, hopefully you can find a scenario that would help you translate the power of whatever strobe you're using in your studio situation and match it with a continuous light source that would help you achieve the same look and feel.